Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And a few moments ago, I made what may have been the boldest move in my rabbinic career. I removed my tie before the start of the service, and so has Cantor Rosen. And the reason is, and this comes with an apology, is that we were informed a short while ago that there are some kinks in the ventilation. And so it may get, if you're up to par with your Yiddish, it may get a little schwitzy in here over the next little while. So I apologize, but I hope that the spirit of Shabbat will envelope us and we will all enjoy. So Shabbat Shalom, and in Inuit, Tunga Hugit, which means welcome. I know that I'm not the only one who took pride and joy when Mary Simon, an Inuit Canadian, was appointed a year ago as the first Indigenous Governor General of Canada. Nor am I the only one, I'm sure, who experienced emotion when viewing, by way of television news, Governor General Simon visiting and spending time among the members of the First Nations community of Northern Quebec, in which she was born and raised. Both Mary Simon's appointment and visit to her home reinforce for the rest of us in Canada the imperative of truth and reconciliation with our First Nations people. And it is why we at Holy Blossom Temple recognize the land upon which this congregation stands as belonging to the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Haudenosaunee, the Ojibwa, Chippewa, and the Huron-Wendat people. And we acknowledge other regions of Canada as birthrights to the Inuit and the Métis. The elevation of Mary Simon to the role of the Queen's representative in Canada is a vital step in the arduous journey of truth and reconciliation. May we ensure that this journey continues to unfold. To the First Nations people of Canada, we owe nothing less.
We continue with the singing of Yedid Nefesh, page 105. Yedid Nefesh av harachama b'shochavdav Eretzonach yarotz avdav Kimo hayal yishtachave Mol hatarach ki yeraflo yedidotav Minofet zufechol tam Yailalai 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 Hatur na'eziv ha'olam Nafshi cholot Ahavatach ha'na'erna Rifat na'ala Beharot la Noam zivach Az titchazek ותתרפא וחייתה לך שפחת עולם יאללה יאללה יאללה
the Biederman family, and Ivy Biederman in particular, will be celebrating. Ivy's becoming a bat mitzvah tomorrow morning here for Shabbat. So with that, I welcome the Biederman family to the front of our sanctuary and the lighting of our Shabbat candles. And also, I invite others to attend to these smaller tables here where we have smaller tea lights and be included in the welcoming of Shabbat. So please, those of you who are comfortable, come up here. There's candles there, there's matches. We're on page 106.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu lemitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Adonai, Naria letzor Yishem. Lechur Adonai, Naria letzor Yishem. Nekadma fana b'toda, bezmirot Naria lo. Lechur Adonai. Bezmirot Naria lo. Lechur Adonai Adonai Naria letzor Yishem. Lechur Adonai Adonai Naria letzor Yishem. Nekadma fana b'toda Bezmirot Naria lo. Nekadma fana b'toda Bezmirot Naria lo. Ki el gadol Adonai umelech gadol el kol Elohim. Ki el gadol Adonai umelech gadol al kol Elohim. Lechur Adonai Naria letzor Yishem. Lechur Adonai Naria letzor Yishem. Nekadma fana b'toda Bezmirot Naria lo. Nekadma fana b'toda Bezmirot Naria lo. Nekadma fana b'toda Bezmirot mirot nari halo. Nekadma fana bitoda, bez mirot nari halo. Lo, 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 lo. We continue bringing in the joy of Shabbat, Mizmor LeDavid, middle of page 113. Mizmor LeDavid, Havol Adonai b'ne'eli, Havol Adonai, Kavod va'oz, yailai, Havol Adonai, Kavod shemo, Ishtachavu l'Adonai b'harat kodesh, Kol Adonai al hamayim, El hakavod hirim, Adonai al mayim rabim, Kol Adonai ba'koach, yailai, Kol Adonai be'adar, Kol Adonai shover aratzim, וישבר אדוני את עזי הלבנון, וירקידם כמו עגל לבנון, וסריון כמו בן רמים, יאי אדוני למעל בול ישב, וישב אדוני מלך לעולם, אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. יאי לי 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 יאי לי 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 יאי לי 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 יאי לי 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 יאי לי לי
Everyone in Inuit, but now I welcome you again, and with Bruchim Habaim, which means welcome to all of you in the plural form. Blessed are all of you who have come, and a special welcome tonight to all of our future grade 7 students, those who will be preparing for B'nai Mitzvot next year, who are here tonight with their parents for a special program and meal following the service. And why don't we all take a moment now to turn to those beside or behind or in front or even across the room and wish each other Shabbat Shalom and welcome.
Shabbat Shalom.
Now, in anticipation of Lecha Dodi, I read to you from page 107 in the Siddur. In the 16th century in Safat, in northern Israel, Rabbi Moses Cordovero developed the custom of singing a series of psalms to greet Shabbat. He and other Kabbalists, that is, purveyors of Jewish mysticism, would dress in white. And they'd go out into the fields and hills outside of Tzfat at sunset on Erev Shabbat and sing the Psalms, including Lecha Dodi, which was composed in Tzfat, in Israel, in the 16th century. And I had the pleasure a number of years ago of reenacting that with a group of people, not in Tzfat. We were actually on the shore of Lake Kuchiching near Aurelia. But I'll never forget it. Dressed in white for the most part, and outdoors as the sun was coming down on Friday evening. It was beautiful. So try and envision that as best as you can. Page 115, Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kahla, pene Shabbat nekabla. Lecha Dodi, likrat kahla, pene Shabbat nekabla. Shapor v'zachor b'diburecha, ishmi'atu el hamlucha. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shemo tiferet v'lithilah. Lecha Dodi, likrat kahla, pene Shabbat nekabla. Lecha Dodi, likrat kahla, pene Shabbat nekabla. Likrat Shabbat lechul v'necha, ki mekor ha'beracha. Berosh mikethem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila. Lecha Dodi, likrat kahla, pene Shabbat nekabla. Lecha Dodi, likrat kahla, pene Shabbat nekabla. Hitorri, hitorri, ki va'orech komi uri. Uri, uri, shitaperi, kivod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi, likrat kahla, pene Shabbat nekabla. Lecha Dodi, likrat kahla, pene Shabbat nekabla. Bohi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, gam b'simcha uv'zola. Toch emuneh am sekula. Boi chala, boi chala. Lecha Dodi, likrat kahla, pene Shabbat nekabla. Lecha Dodi, likrat kahla, pene Shabbat nekabla. Lecha Dodi, likrat kahla, pene Shabbat nekabla. Lecha Dodi, likrat kahla, pene Shabbat nekabla.
Please rise on page 119 for the Baruch.
את אדוני המבורך. ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. לי 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 לי
מלך העולם, אשר בדברו מעריב הרבים, בחוכמה פותח שערים, ובתבונו משנה עתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים, משמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור, ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים תמיד, ימלך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב הרבים.
כי הם חיינו ויאורך ימינו, והם נהגה יומם ולילה. ועבדך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Before all this we hold to be true and sure, you alone are our God. There is none else. We are Israel, your people. You are our sovereign. You deliver us from the hands of oppressors and save us from the fists of tyrants. You do wonders without number, marvels that surpass our understanding. You give us our life. By your help we survive all who seek out destruction. You did wonders for us in the land of Egypt, miracles and marvels in the land of Pharaoh. You led your people Israel out forever to serve you in freedom. Thanks. Willingly they enthroned you, and full of joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang this song.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש נורא תהילות, אוסף אלה, אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו פניך, מוקע ים לפני משה. מלכותך ראו פניך, מוקע ים לפני משה. זה לי עדו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם לעולם ועד. יאללה לילה 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 יאללה לילה 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 יאללה לילה 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 יאללה לילה לילה ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. יאללה לילה לילה יאללה לילה יאללה לילה 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 יאללה לילה לילה יאללה לילה.
Please join me on page 126. Grant that we may lie down in peace, Adonai our God, and raise us up, O Sovereign, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake be our help. Shield us from hatred and plague. Keep us from war and famine and anguish. Subdue our inclination to evil. O God, our guardian and helper, our gracious and merciful Sovereign, give us refuge in the shadow of your wings. God, our coming and our going, that now and always we may have life and peace. Praise to you, Adonai, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem.
ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו, ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ויעלמה דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחי לכל בית ישראל. פגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ועלמי עלמיה. יתפרח וישתבח ויתפר ויתרומם ויתעשה ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי קודשם בריחו ליהלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דהמירן בעלמה ואמרו
Amen. And we rise now once again, page 128 for the Amidah.
אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי אגיד תהילתך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באחווה. מלך עוזר, מושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיים מתים אתה, רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל החיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים. ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך. מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
And we continue silently now, the words on the page, or the words in your heart, to page 136.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן.
On page 137 in the Siddur is the Mishaberach, the one who blesses those who are in need of healing, comfort, and consolation. And this evening here at Holy Blossom, our Mishaberach is for Joanna Falk, Chana Bat Gittel, Peter Samu, Sarah Leah bat Moshe Meir and Naomi, Chava bat Abraham v'Sarah, Miriam bat Binyamin v'Sarah Leah, Agnes Adler, Fritzia Marmer, Esther Tile, Zoe Minnie Moses, Yehudit bat Mordechai v'Rivka, Barbara bat Yittel, Moshe Gerson ben Baruch Shalom Chaim v'Rachel Leah, and Hudi Cherendov. And to these names we may add others who are in our hearts and in need of healing, and they are page 137.
שברך אמותינו מכורח הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Misheberach avotenu bekorach habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage make our lives a blessing, and let us sing Amen.
Both Cantor Rosen and I have had our ties off for 45 minutes, and lightning has not struck. I was 17 the first time I went up to Jerusalem after 2 remarkable months as a volunteer worker on a kibbutz near Haifa. I arrived there very late at night, my travel arrangements having gone a bit haywire, and knocked on the front door of my one-time neighbors in Toronto, now residents of Jerusalem, who had generously offered to put me up while I visited. The next morning, bright and early, I was out and about, visiting museums, the Shuk, marketplace, the Old City, and in particular the Kotel, the Western Wall, taking photos, dining on Middle Eastern cuisine, and embracing as best as I could the spirit of where I was. Before leaving the city and Israel to return to Toronto and resume high school, I switched accommodations twice. First to a youth hostel near Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Memorial Museum, and then for a few nights with another former Toronto neighbor. 3 different Jerusalem living arrangements in 1 week, but everywhere and by everyone, I could not have been treated more kindly. And throughout that first time in Jerusalem, I could not have felt more at home. Since those teenage days, I've been fortunate to return to Jerusalem on numerous occasions, once again while on break from my volunteer work on the kibbutz, and later on with members of my Tennessee Jewish community, and most beautifully of all, during my required year in Israel as a rabbinical student with my wife and son along with me for that amazing year-long ride. It's needless for me to point out how much I long for the moment when I'll board a plane and journey to Israel and to Jerusalem again. It's a moment that cannot happen too soon. Because, remember everyone, as Jews, we do not visit Israel, we return there. My recollections, and the word recollections hardly does justice to my experience, flow from the celebration that will unfold this Sunday, May the 29th, and the 28th of Iyar on our Hebrew calendar for Yom Yerushalayim, Jerusalem Day. Throughout the world, though in Israel especially, of course, Jews will take joy and pride in remembering the reunification of the city of Jerusalem 55 years ago during Israel's Six-Day War with her neighboring Arab countries. On that June day in 1967, the 28th of Iyar, Israeli soldiers, in the aftermath of combat with their Jordanian counterparts, combat that took place from street to narrow street and even in and out of persons' homes, succeeded in taking the old city, Ir HaAtik, from foreign control and reuniting her with the more modern city of Jerusalem to her west. Few of us have not seen the iconic photograph of Israeli soldiers gazing in awe, more than a few of them for the first time in their lives, at the Kotel, the Western Wall, arguably Judaism's most holy site. They had just moments before returned to the Jewish people. The great 20th century rabbi, teacher, and philosopher Abraham Joshua Heschel wrote, "Jerusalem is the city where God was born." where the anticipation of everlasting peace came into being. Jerusalem is waiting for redemption, for a new beginning. Her power is in reviving unheard music, transfiguring thoughts, prayers that are vibrant, and the Sabbath finds it hard to go away. To be in Jerusalem is to be among the spirits of our ancestors, Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Rebekah, Jacob, Rachel, and Leah, among the spirits of Israel's kings, David and Solomon, to be where our first and second temples, for more than 1,000 years, the centralities of our faith once stood. To be with the countless Jews who, despite millennia-long eras of upheaval and uprooting brought on by foreign invaders, have continued to make Jerusalem their home. It is to be among the countless pilgrims of all faiths who over centuries have journeyed to Jerusalem to connect with their spiritual forebears. It is to be among the courageous Jews who returned to Palestine at the end of the 19th and the beginning of the 20th centuries to restore the Jewish homeland. It is to be where the British Army under General Allenby marched through the Jaffa Gate, freeing Jerusalem from the Ottoman Empire near the end of World War I. It is to be among those who danced horse in Jerusalem's streets in November of 1947, when Palestine was acknowledged by the United Nations as a home for the Jews, and again just months later, in May of 1948, at the moment of David Ben-Gurion's historic speech from Tel Aviv announcing Israeli statehood. And it is to be among the Israeli troops, so many of whom sacrificed their lives, who ushered in a reunited city on the 28th of Iyar, this Sunday in 1967. But it remains complicated. Irrespective of our love and longing for Jerusalem and all of Israel, we can't overlook the complexities among Jerusalem's diverse religious and cultural communities. We can't overlook the array of narratives, each of which lay claim to Jerusalem as a home. The stories of Jerusalem continue to be told, and to every one of these we are compelled to lend an attentive ear. In October of 1995, just a month before his assassination, Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin told listeners, "Jerusalem has 1,000 faces, and each one of us has her or his own Jerusalem." In the best of possible worlds, may each of us, those who have returned home to Israel and those who have not yet, write our own Jerusalem stories. May we continue to long for her strength, and for her peace. And may we pledge, with unswerving passion, to undertake our very own going up to Jerusalem.
על הדבש ועל העוקץ, על המר והחם הטוב, על ביתנו התינוקת שמור לי הטוב. על האש המפוארת, על המים החזקים, על האיש השב הביתה מן המרחקים, על כל אלה, על כל אלה, שמור נא לי, אלי הטוב, על הדבש ועל העוקץ, על המר והמתוק, על נטע הקור נטוע, אל תשכח את התקווה, השיבני והשובה אל הארץ הטובה. For the honey and the bee sting, for the bitter and the sweet, all the things which join as one to make our lives complete. For the future of our children, for our prayers will never cease, for the hope that with tomorrow now comes a world of peace. Al kol ele, shmor na li, eli hatov, al hadvash ve'al ha'oketz, al hamar ve'hamatok, al nata hakor natoha, al tishkach et hatikva, hashiveni ve'ashuva el ha'aretz hatova.
Before Aleinu, I would like to invite our education director, Lisa Eisenbaumer, to share with everyone the special program, details regarding the program and meal that follows our service.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. So, welcome to all of our grade 6 and grade 7 families. It's so lovely to see you all in person, and for parents to be here. So, following services, those of you who are joining us for dinner, we're going to go down to the lower level. So you can just take either the elevator or the circular staircase down 2 levels, and we'll gather there.
For dinner.
Thank you.
Thank you. Page 139, please rise for Elena.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
In anticipation of Kaddish and our praising of God, we remember for your site that is the anniversary of their passing. Earl Bader, Deja Berneman, Sadie Bachnack, Joseph Borinsky, Rose Catsby, Pearl Cole, Ethel Dubin, Harry Eli, Leslie Gondor, Saul Goodman, Theodore Gould, Saul Greenwood, Alan Hacker, Harry Hands, Harold Harris, Daisy Hadassah Jacobs, Gordon Kaufman, Louis Krakauer, Wilma Quinter, Nettie Landau, Rose Langer, Peggy Laskin, Meyer Lawrence, Sigmund Lubelski, Harry Marcus, Alan Marks, Joseph Rod, Mara Robach, Barbara Rubin, Berthold Schiff, Hyman Seligman, Irving Schiffman, Gertrude Silverman, Gussie Singer, Luke Sklar, Imre Samogi, Abraham Stern, Leopold Stossel, Phil Swaden, Morris Tabachnik, Bernard Michael Tarshis, Rose Tarshis, Arthur Weinrab, George Weisfeld, Lawrence Weinberg, Harriet Wolf, Ray Zwerlin. And we also remember those who are in their period of Shloshim, that is the first 30 days of mourning. We remember Harriet Wadlinger Chronic, Hilly Leopold, Lillian Malvin, Rose Rothstein, and Jack Schuber. And I don't have all their names, but I would trust that all of you still have in your hearts and your thoughts those who died so tragically this week in Uvalde, Texas. Are there other names to be added? Our loved ones are always with us. We can still see their faces. We can still hear their voices. We can still feel their arms around us and our arms around them. They're always with us. As we turn to page 142 and rise for Kaddish Atom, the mourner's Kaddish, and our praising of God. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah, v'alma divrach liutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chal Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mavarach la'olam u'mei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha baruch hu le'la minkol b'chaka v'shiraka tushbechata v'nechemata damiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shalom rabba min shemayah v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom mimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all those who are bereaved, as we say together, Amen.
Oseh shalom mimromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru. Amen. We now rise once again for Kiddush, page 439. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodesho b'achava v'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemahaseh v'reshit Ki hu yom tehila lemikra kodesh Zecher letziad mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shavar kodshecha be'achava u'beratzon hinechaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat l'chaim.
What key? F. Okay.
Please join me. Hamotzi, thanking God for that which Hamotzi, which comes out of your voice.
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, Shabbat Shalom. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
All right.